Welcome to the Homefront Podcast. I am your host, Toree McQueen. I'm a realtor, an entrepreneur, a mom of four, and a bold dreamer, always on a mission to turn nothing into something. Have you ever wondered how all these other entrepreneurs do it all? Can they actually have a successful and thriving business while also having a happy home life? Here, we dig into the real stories from entrepreneurs on how to run a biz and a home life, how to scale and grow, and how to manage parenting and relationships without sacrificing your home life or happiness. After all, isn't that what matters most? Let's get to it.
Pursue. And I loved it, except that where I'm based, it was a 2-hour commute each way. And during this time, 4 or 5 years ago, this was when everyone was searching for a job and you could not find a job anywhere. Like, it is not like today where at this point you could throw a rock and have 3 job offers. It was crazy. And so I was so fortunate to be able to work with a startup company. But I was gone for like 2 hours a day and I was missing my newborn. Coming back from maternity leave was probably the toughest thing I have ever gone through, not being able to see him except for maybe like a 15 minutes before bedtime. And so I started freelancing on the side back in January 2020, was working full-time, working part-time, momming full-time. It was exhausting. And then COVID hit and we had to figure out what was next for us. And I had a job opportunity to actually start freelancing full-time for someone. I was like, wow, this could be our chance. This could be the chance where I could finally put in my notice, work from home, be home with my babies. I was also pregnant with my 4th at the time. The world was closed down and it just felt like this was the opportunity we had been really waiting for to give our kids a new way of life, to provide a new way of life, and to be home more. And I really was craving that. So I started working full-time as an online project manager and then helping people set up their systems for launches and funnels and online businesses. And that was 2 years ago now. Somehow it's flown by. We've had another baby, last baby. We've had another baby and it's been a wild ride, but it has been so much fun to build what I like to call a family business because our whole family knows how much mom works and how much dad does to support mom who works. So this is our little family business that we're running over here.
We're going to touch on that. That's so awesome. Okay. Have you felt like you were always called to like do your own thing?
Not really. I was the girl in elementary school that if you said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a mom. Like I've always wanted to be a mom. I wanted the big family. And so to me, work was a means to an end, a way to support my family and also do something that I love. Like I do love what I do. But ultimately, if you were to ask me where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, it rarely has anything to do with this business or entrepreneurship. It has more to do with building and creating this life with my husband.
Yes. And he works with you now, right?
So he doesn't work with me, although he does run through all my ideas, but he is a full-time stay-at-home dad. So he is the one that is at home with the kids all day so that mom can work. And I usually take off in the afternoons to hang out with them. And then he plays Call of Duty. I work. We call it working together in the office, in our bedroom. But yeah, he is my partner in life and in this business. He's the one I run all my ideas by, talk to, vent to, everything. He's my support guy.
Oh, that's awesome. It makes a huge difference when you have that support at home and you can kind of filter through that, but also still, kind of run your own thing. And then to not have to worry about getting someone else in the household to help you, he can kind of take on that entire role. I feel like that is kind of the way a lot of female entrepreneurs are going. A lot of their husbands are holding down the fort at home.
Yes. I mean, when people ask me, the number one question I probably get from people is, how do you do it? How do you run a business? How do you have 5 kids? How do you continue to eat, sleep, breathe?
Same.
And it's him, because if it wasn't him and he was still working full time, we'd be paying for daycare. We'd be paying for childcare. We'd be stressing about how to get everyone to all these different places or have someone in our home. And that would be such a different level. And so I always tell people, like, do not compare yourself to me because I have this amazing support person who provides full time. He's with his kids all day. And so it's a different level because I'm not trying to grow and run a business on my own. I'm not trying to do that without support and childcare for my kids. And so it's apples and
Absolutely.
oranges. And so I'm so grateful for him. But I always tell people, like, he is my secret sauce to how I do this, because I couldn't have my business where it is today unless I had him here and with the kids.
Well, and that's what I tell everybody also. Like they look at me and they're like, "Oh, how are you doing it all?" And I'm like, "I'm not." Like it's not just me. Like I have to leverage people, and you can't compare yourself. I know a lot of people are like, "Well, they're doing this and this and this," and but they're not looking at, "Hey, if I don't hire someone, I have laundry sitting on my couch." Like, and the house gets abandoned, but my husband does a lot of the supports. Like he supports a lot too. So I could totally relate.
I love that.
And that's why I like chatting with women here dealing with the same thing, because I think people need to know this, because everybody's comparing, but they don't realize, like, no, there's a lot more to it, but it's a sacrifice.
Exactly. And I saw this, I think it was a graduation speech, but I saw Shonda Rhimes speaking a few weeks ago, and she was talking about working motherhood and how, she's asked the question all the time, how do you do it all? And she's like, I don't. When you see me succeeding in one place, I'm probably failing in another place. I just have to be okay with where I'm succeeding and failing each day. And it really hit, because I do have times where I'm like, especially now that my little babies are recognizing that mom goes to work and they're sitting down at the pen like, Mom, don't go. And it breaks my heart. I also have to recognize, like, I'm a better mom for them when I can do what I need to do here. I can provide a better life. And so I have to be okay with failing them in that moment for succeeding in the long term for our family. But it's so tough. And it's so tough for a number of different reasons. But this is why I always tell people, like, don't judge a book by its cover, because you don't see the behind the scenes. Like, everyone's talking about investing in a coach or web design or whatever it is that you want for your business. But sometimes you actually just need to outsource the day-to-day things like laundry, house, kids, whatever that is. Sometimes that is actually the best investment. I am just fortunate enough where I'm not having to outsource it to anyone, because we've made the sacrifice, instead of a dual income, having a single income with him being able to be home.
Yeah. And how long has he been home?
The full 2 years. So when I went down to him, it was like over a slice of pizza on a Friday. I said, I got this job offer. I'm going to quit my job. And he was like, let's do it. So I quit that day. Like the day that I got the job offer, I quit on the spot and started on Monday. And we were just sitting there eating pizza at the counter. And this man is truly a blessing. He just rolls with anything I come to him. So I also say this with the lens of, it probably would have looked very different if we weren't having a global pandemic where everyone was forced home anyways. So there were a lot of factors in play for our story, but we were able to leverage that. And again, we don't have a dual income. It's all me. So there's more pressure there. There's more stress. But we've traded that in just for the security and knowing that he's home. And he is one of those guys that he loves his baby. So he loves it. He thrives in it. He loves packing everyone up, going to Target. The number of Target tips that man takes them on, he comes home with all these Matchbox sets, is unreal. But
that's so funny.
I love that. And our kid, we don't have a traditional gender role family, and it works for us, and it works for, I have 4 boys. So they're seeing firsthand what manhood and what fatherhood can look like for families. And that's really important for us to show them that a woman can have very different roles, and we do that really well. And we talk about that with them, because at the end of the day, and I say this because my son's struggling with school right now, it's like, you can fail every test. I really don't give a fuck. I want you to be a really good man, a really good person, and eventually a really good husband and father one day, if that's the choice that you decide to make with your life. But and I know that you have that. And I know that you get that because you see your dad every day living it out.
Oh, that's so awesome. And we're seeing more of it too. I have 4 boys and I just had my baby girl, so I totally get it. And
you and I are twins.
I was like, okay, I want the boys to see that mom can work and dad can stay home, and vice versa. Dad can work if he wants, and just so that they can see the full picture, and really you can make life what you want. I go to all their games. Like, I'm there at pretty much everything. but it's so fun. I mean, every family is a little bit different. And again, that's why I enjoy having this show, is so that I can chat with people and they can see that everybody does it differently and they're just
Mhm.
doing it like for whatever works for them. But it's funny that you say he comes back with all these toys from
Oh my
Target.
goodness. It's so funny
Uh,
because when I'm going through TikTok, I see all these stories, and usually they're from stay-at-home moms talking about their partners. And I have to be super cognizant because I'm the dad in this role, in this picture in our family. So I have to be super cognizant of the fact that I don't do the laundry and I don't cook and I don't do all these things. So I like listen up to what all these women are saying. I'm like, I need to make sure I don't become the guy that's golfing every weekend. I need to make sure that I'm listening to them, I'm listening to my husband, because I do think it's so important. And one of the things that I'm really big about is I feel like we have this culture of shitting on our partners, of like going to social or going to different places, and you
uh,
just hear so much negativity, and dads get a bad rap and moms get a bad rap, and it drives me nuts. So everybody over on my page knows Big Daddy. That's his nickname that he goes by, and everybody knows him because I will talk him up because he truly is like the secret sauce to how I can do this, and I just love that guy so much.
good. Well, that makes me happy. How does him being, do you ever feel like the boundaries are hard to create when you're at home? I'm assuming in your home office and he's doing his stuff. Is it kind of like, hey, yeah, I'm going to go in the office for a little bit? Or what does that look like for you guys and your family?
Yeah, so I have to be very careful not to impede in their routine, because when I come downstairs, it becomes this big production of like, oh, mommy's done with work, and I can totally throw things off. So I actually have to be super careful about their routine. By home office, we have 5 kids, as do you. So we're already maxed out our room. So my home office is actually just a little corner in our bedroom. So for us, and he actually just bought this for me. It's like this little shush sign so that he knows when he's coming in. Am I recording? What am I doing? I feel like the two of us have really good communication of setting up boundaries of time we're working, having a good routine, a routine that works for us. I don't have the typical day schedule everyone else does. I do feel like so many people leave corporate, start working online business, and they still bring that schedule with them, even though they were like, I really wanted that time freedom, and then they start working 9 to 5 anyways. So I do remain accessible, but I do try to keep those afternoons because I also really want him to get out of the house. So I'm also very big of like, go golf, go do something, go out that's not parent related and go do it, because I just think it's important for us. But yeah, I just try really hard to not infringe on their routine as much as possible.
Yeah, I could see how that could, yeah. That is something that I have to work out too myself. It's so hard not to be like, okay, I'm done. Like, what are we doing? Like, where are we going? Like,
Yes. And then I'm
mm,
ready to go do all the things. And he's like, listen, everyone was teething. It's been a rough day. The teenagers have an attitude. Like, we need to just break. I'm like, okay, let's regroup. But I also feel like that balances out sometimes, because it's almost like our kids get to see like a trade-off. So they don't see both parents like tired and burnt out. It's like, okay, cool. Dad gets to take a break and mom gets to be the fun one for a little bit. But it works for her. So I don't know. My favorite time though is just in the evenings when everyone's in bed, and his computer station's next to mine, and I do feel, because online business can be really lonely, and especially when you don't have a team, it's just you as a solopreneur. You can have online friends and clients, but I do miss sometimes, even though I'm an introvert, just having someone to talk to or just being next to. And so that's when
yes.
I find myself being the most productive. He has no idea what the hell I'm doing, but he's next to me and it makes me focus more. And I just appreciate that.
So, do you find that your workflow happens at night when the kids go to bed and he plays his games next to you and then you just get a couple hours of work done?
So it kind of depends. And it's been very interesting because I've had 2 babies during this. So my work hours have been literally all over the board. I find that I'm most productive like 8 a.m., 8:30 to about lunchtime. And then they're napping. I get some time with him. I can play outside in the afternoons. And then after bedtime, yeah, that's when I feel like I can really knock out the most. I think the big thing is I'm not hearing anyone. And that's, I often have to put the headphones on or put friends on super loud just because I'll get distracted. And I know they're fine, but it's still that mom in me. Or I get distracted because I want to go too. So if I know they're going to Target or if I know they're going somewhere, I can start procrastinating things and be like, I'll put that off for a second. But it's that ebb and flow. I think it's just that reminder of like, we did this for the time freedom. Like I have to make sure I deliver for my clients, but I also have to make sure I honor myself and respect what I wanted out of this. Because otherwise, what was it for? I could just be working a full-time job and not stress so much and working more hours because I own a business. So it's all that ebb and flow.
And turn the switch off.
Yes.
Okay, so now that you touched on it, time freedom, because that is your jam. So tell me more about what you do with your systems and launches and how that creates time freedom for people. And just share kind of what you do.
Yeah. So I help people really maximize their time, but then also find more time by automating the back ends of their businesses. So half of my clients want me to come in and just take care of the daily ops. There are so many systems that are available out there, whether it's project management or client onboarding, whatever it is, that are designed to work in the back end of your business and replace some of the manual tasks that you and your team are doing. So while it might not sound like a lot, you could find an extra 2 hours, 5 hours in your week, which when you're thinking about time freedom, you can either use that time back to get more work done, or you now have that time to go do something. So the biggest, example I tell people is, a lot of the sales that I do with clients actually happen via Instagram. And then all I do is send them a link to like my services guide, pricing guide, and then everything is automated until they are fully onboarded and I never touch anything. So it's beautiful for me because when I first started, everything was like, let me put a PDF invoice together. Let me go find this. Let me get this. And now it's all together. All I do is send them a link. So I have onboarded so many clients just from like literally Target pickup runs, heading out of the office, on the playground, wherever it is. So it's about making your business work for you. And there's some very simple changes that you can do. And there are also a lot of people who are launching digital products because they want additional revenue streams in their business. And, whether it's courses, digital products, memberships, whatever it is, I help to get those set up. So I, again, just leverage systems to work for you, make sure everyone has a beautiful experience. That is what I'm really passionate about, is making sure that your business is set up to have what I call rave-worthy client experience where everyone can't stop talking about you. So you don't have to stress as much about showing up on all these different platforms or SEO or all these different things because your referral network is just pouring leads in for you.
Wow. Yeah. And I think the power of social media, really, like as long as you're showing up and you're providing that positive experience, people are talking. And, the industry
I definitely think social media. Oh, I think I'm lagging a little bit behind you, but yes. So with my personal view of social media, it's a great, almost like a reference point. Once someone hears about you, the first thing they do, they're going to look you up on Google or go check out your Instagram. So I think that there needs to be enough of you there so they can get a good frame of reference for who you are, what your skill set is, how you can serve them. I think there's also, it depends on the time in your business, because when you're first starting, you do actually have to hustle. And I as much as like I don't like hustle culture, when you're first getting started, you have to show up, you have to create, you have to do different things. But it doesn't have to look the same for every person in every industry. So you just have to be smart about where you're showing up and how you're protecting that energy. Because I do know some people who kind of go the rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, I am just going to content. And then they forget to actually show up for their clients, or they get burnt out by that time, which isn't good either. But I also believe that, like, for example, right now I'm taking a social media break. Like, I'm not creating any new content for a while. We're going to enjoy summer. I'm not going to worry about showing up. But I can also do that now because in the back end, when they do find my Instagram, they can see exactly how to work with me, what it looks like. They can get on an email list. All of that is automated. So I've put in the legwork now, which is the key for any system. You always have to put in the investment of time and money to get everything set up to where it needs to be. But now that it's there, my social can just exist. I can show up on stories if I want to, but I don't have that need every day of like, got to show up, I got to find a new client. It works for you, which is ultimately the long-term goal.
Thanks again, guys, for joining me on this second season of the Homefront Podcast, where happiness is our true profit. If you've enjoyed today's chat, please take a minute to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. That'll help a sister out a lot. This helps us also learn and grow and reach more listeners like you. Join me again next week as we drop new stories, experiences, and game-changing tips for your business and Homefront. As always, here empowering you in business and in life. Until next time.